All right, everybody, I'm Logan Alec, and this is my stimulus update for Friday, September 11th. It has been 19 years since 2,977 individuals were killed in 4 coordinated terrorist attacks on our shores, and our country really came together after that, didn't it? Probably in a way, though, that I'm afraid we will never see again. In terms of first stimulus news, the IRS has announced that later this month it will be sending letters to approximately 9 million non-filers, encouraging them to use the non-filers tool by October 15th in order to receive their stimulus payment. This letter will be called IRS Notice 1444A. It will have information on it in both English and Spanish. In terms of second stimulus, the situation is becoming increasingly frustrating, and again, it's simply both sides, Democrats and Republicans, waiting for the other side to cave into their demands. We saw this in the statement from the top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer that I read to you yesterday, when he said that he hopes that Republicans will come to their senses and start seriously negotiating with Democrats sometime soon. Roger Wicker, Republican senator from Mississippi, said, "When Speaker Pelosi's troops get back into town next Monday, we'll see if there's a frustration among enough of her troops and marginal districts to get us back to the negotiating table." Chris Murphy, Democratic senator from Connecticut, said, "I think we'll get there. I just don't think that Republicans will go back without having passed something." This is a pretty crappy way of doing things, frankly. It's like when you get in an argument with your significant other or a friend or someone you know, and you both made your points, you both criticize each other's point of views, and then you just wait. You just wait for the other person to cave in and say they were sorry and that they were wrong. That's what's going on here. It sucks. Neither side wants to appear weak going into the election, and the people are paying for it. And frankly, these senators, I think a lot of them are clueless as well, because these common man, common woman senators, and even more so in the House, they're not the ones making the decisions here. Of course, they want to sound hopeful for their constituents, but congressional stimulus will only happen when the top brass in both parties want it to happen and come to an agreement on how it should happen. That's just the honest truth. You know that, I know that, but of course the voters in many of these senatorial races that we're going to have here in November, they don't know that. If their incumbent senator can come back and say, well, you know, we Republicans, all of us except for one voted to extend your unemployment to the end of the year. We voted to give you struggling small businesses more PPP money. It's those scoundrels on the other side that got in our way. And the Democrats can say the same thing about their HEROES Act, right? So if their man or their woman comes home and goes to these town halls and parades that line, that's good enough for a lot of voters out there. And that was probably the whole purpose of things like the Republican skinny bill that was voted on yesterday. It's not really to help anybody, it's just to help Mitch McConnell maintain a Republican majority in the Senate so he can retain his position as Senate Majority Leader. But the harsh reality is that this is a top-down thing. These senators can sound as hopeful as they want, but unless there's an agreement from on high, further congressional stimulus is not happening. Personally, I think that the Democrats are in a better position right now with respect to congressional control. It would be a complete long shot for them to lose the House. And as for the Senate, Mitch McConnell himself said this week that he thinks it's a 50-50 shot as to whether Republicans retain control of the Senate with these elections coming up. That is what Mitch McConnell said yesterday. That being said, however, what do Republicans, or whom do Republicans have in their back pocket? Donald Trump. A guy who would probably be totally willing to really push the envelope when it comes to exerting presidential power and authority, and perhaps do something that friends would call unconventional and enemies would probably call unconstitutional for the good of the people to help his election chances. I am, of course, referring to further executive actions from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Point is, with the indications we can see at this point in time, it doesn't look like Congress is going to do more stimulus anytime soon, because both parties have really dug their heels in at this point and have said the same thing for the past few weeks, blaming the other side. I'm sorry, but that's just what's going on. And unless there is some capitulation from on high in a significant way, we can't really strongly rely on Congress for more stimulus right now, because in 3 weeks, the House leaves until after Election Day, because everybody in the House is up for re-election every 2 years. So they have to go back and talk and rally on town halls and get votes, and are not scheduled to return until the 3rd week of November. All right, let's move on to unemployment. Here's the updated map. Like I told you yesterday, FEMA has guaranteed 6 weeks of payments to those states that applied by yesterday's deadline, which were all states except South Dakota. I've seen a lot of you asking about New York State. The New York Department of Labor Twitter account said payment should be hitting next week. All right, everybody, that is my stimulus and unemployment update for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.